Welcome to another webinar. Um, this is going to be more on the technical side. I've entitled it MQTT, another array in the Adroit M2M arsenal. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of a discussion and just speak about a few things. I'm one of the primary driver guys, so this is what I do. So basically, thinking about the lockdown and our remote connectivity, which is kind of forced on us. And we're moving towards the Internet of Things and Industry 4.0. So I think this kind of thing is going to get more important going forward. So one of the reasons why I've entitled this an arrow, because I do consider we've got various ways to enable the business to remote. So I'm also using the keyword quiver. So, for example, our old traditional way of doing things, GPRS, modem, remote dial-up, GSM, email, those are all there and available, but not so interactive. And then, since we've started doing the new Adroit scanning architecture, which is something I'm also want to try and see and show you guys a little bit more, just to get the feel for it, slight differences to what you may be used to. So in this quiver, we're looking, we have Sigfox, we have beginning stages of LoRa, we have now MQTT, we have our traditional telemetry drivers. I'm thinking out loud, on Internet of Things have basically hijacked the telemetry realm, and telemetry has always been there. So we've got a host of telemetry drivers. But I think with the Internet of Things and Industry 4.0, we're going to start seeing telemetry that is more optimized, better able to cope on WANs, that kind of thing. I hope to discuss and see if you please bounce questions. If you prompt me, we can talk about it. So one of the things, and we probably have webinars more specifically. So this webinar is more specifically for MQTT, but just for context, we have Sigfox, which I see as sort of an entry layer to the M2M field. Your Sigfox is very low data throughput, very sort of in one direction. You can have cases where a unit will stay online for a little bit of time after the fact so that you can maybe send some data back. But you're dealing very low data transfer, useful for a flow meter or something that wants to transmit a register every few hours or something. Then we move on to LoRa, which is a little bit more data throughput, by a little bit more bidirectional, but also not ideal. Obviously, it has its place in the industry and can be used quite well. So we are working with the Alcom guys to make sure that their LoRa sort of sees the light in Adroit. Then MQTT is one layer up, and that's when things start to get interesting protocol-wise, comms-wise. And I like, we've got the M2M driver as well. I'm just wondering, that's sort of a generalized term, but it was our first M2M driver. So it's there's a lot of comparisons that you can take out. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but for example, MQTT now allows comms bidirectional, and because of its architecture, you can compare it very well to a traditional driver. And there's a few things that come into play. So let's sort of start. MQTT, Message Queuing Telemetry Transport Protocol. I don't know if that's worth much to people. And Adroit's driver, we support MQTT 3.11 fully. The standard, there is a mqtt.org. They are producing the standards. There is a newer standard, MQTT 5, and when that comes out officially and sort of accepted by industry, we are definitely going in that direction. But yeah, where we stand now with MQTT, very, very interesting possibilities. So I'm going to just jump around a little bit. I want to take you to my desktop scene so that I can just show you the websites, and then just talk a little bit about that. So I'm transitioning there. MQTT, you've got your Mosquito, which is a MQTT broker online available, and you've also got your org. So very nice websites, a lot of answers to questions. Just pointing that out. I'm going to transition back to the discussion. What are the features of MQTT? It is a client broker architecture. It's if you look at my little diagram, your big orange blob in the middle, your broker, and the little block, you've got a client, and I've drawn there Adroit as a client as well. So this enables one of the primary things that M2M does, but in a different way, which and that's part of my comparison. And when I think about these things, M2M will create a connection to the SCADA server and thereby send data through as events, but then the SCADA holds that connection and then it can transmit back down. MQTT does something different. It implements a broker. So if you think about it, connectivity is a premium commodity, actually. I'm not sure where we're going, 5G and that kind of thing, and IPv6, probably we will have fixed IPs available. But right now, most industry runs on IPv4, so you can't always get hold of an address on the internet. So that's where the broker comes in. So what part of their design was every person interested in any data is considered a client, and they are connecting to a central broker, which has got a domain name, fixed IP, and because it's a single source, they can connect in no problem. When you go in the other direction, if you're a master, you're on the internet and you are trying to connect to 1,000 fridges in a city, it means every fridge has to have an IP address. So that can be a problem. Fixed IPs are not available or at a cost. So I just want to go back to my comments just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so that's how they've overcome that client broker architecture. Then they have a publish subscribe mechanism, and I've added their publisher time and quality of service. So basically a client can publish data and another client can subscribe to that data. That's it in a nutshell. There's your telemetry side of things. One of the key pillars of telemetry is a timestamp at source that is provided in the system, and then the broker has got this mechanism, which is a quality of service mechanism. So basically, you can guarantee there's 3 levels. You can guarantee delivery after the fact, which is something that MQTT has that M2M doesn't have. M2M relies on the fact that we've got a connection, or it marks itself bad when we don't have the connection and the data is not coming through. But MQTT adds an additional feature where via this quality of service, which I'll show you just now, basically you can almost have a delayed transmission to any client. So when a client comes in, it can then say, listen, what did I miss? So we can start looking at decent comms on networks that are not necessarily always on. Richard, DNS? No, it won't be a broker. Okay, I'll get to the broker in a bit. All right, let's go back to the broker. Brokers, Adroit could be a broker. Right now, we've taken the standpoint we are not a broker, but we could be. It is a specific daemon that's listening on specific ports, 1883 in this case for plain text. There are various other ports security related in that. So it understands MQTT. So no, DNS will give you your dynamic IP addressing. What may happen is, well, I'm not too sure. Maybe the clients could use actually, no. These brokers will obviously have a fixed IP. That being said, if you were implementing a MQTT broker internally, let's say, or at your office, and you needed DNS because your IP address changes periodically, then that could work as well. So Adroit as a client will be able to handle DNS. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So back to publishing and subscribing. Publishing and quality of service. All right. The data that is being passed on the MQTT system is very nice. It's a topic value pair, can be plain text or byte array, and I've seen some features where they're talking about JSON and a couple of other things. So I think this will be expanded going forward, but yeah, byte array, you can squish anything in there. Sizing wise, your topics. Now, let's talk about topics. MQTT defines a data point as a topic. I'll show you. Let me fire up our. I'll just transition to my desktop again. And just show you. I'll bring this guy up. This is the Mqtt Explorer that's currently connecting to a open source test Mqtt.org broker, and this is just there for everybody's benefit. I wouldn't suggest you use it directly to run your plant, that's I'm sure there's options to get. Shall I say, protected areas and that kind of thing. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so what I wanted to show you here is, for example, this broker, I'm setting up a connection. I'm saying, listen, you're going to be talking to mqtt.org and on port 1883, which is just plain text. And then I'm telling the system, listen, by the way, when you connect, subscribe to, and there's this fancy name. Now that is a topic, David J _ MQTT _ demo /flow. And then you'll see another one at LWT. Now you can use wildcards as well. So if I said, okay, subscribe to hash, that will basically subscribe to the whole test.mosquito.org server, so you'll get all the tags that are actually broadcast on that system. So I'm just moving back so I can see my comments. So yeah, a little bit more discussion on the topic. The topic is the protocol allows for 65535 characters, but that's very dependent on the broker. And then obviously, I've been looking at the MQTT version 5. One of the things they're bringing into play is aliases. So obviously, topics become a problem. My bugbear with name tags, we're watching you, Alan Bradley, and some OPC. An engineer loves a name tag because he doesn't want to walk around with a file with a lookup table. I always say your name tag basically makes it easier for the engineer and terrible for the skater. So yeah, but yeah. So the topic is described and displayed as a tree. So you can have 128 levels. That's what you see. This little the /. That's part of the domain of MQTT, and it's a reserved character. So I've described here David J MQTT _ demo because I initially had A and somebody else had A, and I was seeing all sorts of weird data. So yeah, we'll talk about isolation of data. That is for demo. I was hitting a problem. And then obviously this is plain text. So I'm going to set that up, and then I'm going to connect, and it got a value which is flow24. There's a couple of things to talk about, and I'm just going to transition back. Yes, you can use wildcards. Okay, wildcards. It's interesting. I'm still. This is early days. The driver is ready. It's stable under testing, and perhaps I haven't gone too far around the possibilities for user-defined types and struct type transfers, where I think a wildcard might come into play. For example, on this Explorer, if you scan for a wildcard, you're going to get updated for every single one of those items. And okay, you can scan a wildcard, but then it still means you still have to scan the actual item, because Adroit and the new Adroit scanning architecture associates an item with a tag name. So right now, I don't allow you to associate a wildcard with an item. You're going to talk about tables and things like that. So a yes and a no to that question, Damien. All right, so I'm rambling. I thought half an hour would be too long. So if we go over, shoot me or enjoy or whatever. Okay, so yeah, where was I? Okay, yeah, we were talking about the tags. So 128 levels. So I'm foreseeing you're going to have your you're going to be able to define a plant, floor, machine, and a value, and you'll be able to define your plant very well, and your topic will be quite readable. The value is coming through, and it'll be plain text, so it could be a string representation of IO, and it could also be a byte array, so it could be the physical binary value that's between the Adroit and the flow meter and whatever we do from that point onwards. So yeah, that's not a problem. I'm just transition back to time at source and quality of service. Just a quick explanation. Your quality of service is basically, there are 3 levels. The first level, fire and forget. So if a device is not there, let's say block A, client A, our little play block, transmits data to the broker with quality of service, and the context is for his quality of service. So he is transferring data to the broker with a quality of service of 0. It means I'm sending this to you. If somebody else was subscribed to it and then they are no longer subscribed to it, sorry, they lose it. Quality of service 1 is a guaranteed delivery, this is the interesting part of MQTT, where your clients can come in and out and still maintain knowledge of the last known value. For me, I'm thinking history. I'm not too sure how that is handled too well. This is the last known value. So be careful with what we're saying here. But the guaranteed delivery, it will attempt to continuously send that message until there's a reply from the broker. So the broker will say, listen, I've got this message. And then quality of service 2 is a 2-phase commit guaranteed delivery. So it's just a guarantee times 2. Quality of service, I don't want to get confused with what I've got there on the next line, which is retention. And quality of service is got to do with the publishing of that data to the broker to make sure that the broker gets it. On the next line, we have persistence, retention, and last will. It's also another 3 topics of the MQTT domain that's interesting and can cause confusion. Retention, and let me just transition back to my desktop. Retention here, you'll see in the Explorer, this value was retained at 24. Okay, so basically, when the value was given to the broker said, listen, I want a retained value, and in this case, quality of service 0. But that means make sure fire and forget is the broker there. He gives the 124 to the broker. But then when a client comes in that's interested in that data and he subscribes to it, he will get that last retained value. That retained flag you configure on a per tag level and a global level on the device, but you can do it per tag. So some tags you maybe want retained, other tags maybe not. Last will. Persistence is basically keeping all the connection details of that client on the broker. It helps the broker know about you and know when you last sent data. These are all interrelated. Your retention, as I've just described, your last will is another thing I'll demo now, where it's part of this connected but disconnected state that MQTT can be in. It's fine and well to go away, but then how do people know you've gone away? SCADA is a very important client. Maybe the devices are configured with some form of knowledge to know that that client has gone away. Maybe they don't care. Nothing stops you from having 2 SCADAs communicating to each other and having scripting in the background, driving logic to make sure things are arriving and doing what they think. The last will basically is last will and testament. That is the last message that gets sent. Well, that the broker, and this is the thing, the last will is configured at configuration time before the connection is made. Then that IO, the minute that client does an ungraceful disconnect, he will send out that message to all other clients interested in any data that client provided. So it's a way to see, hey, I've lost my connection. You can simulate this by yanking the Ethernet cable, or as I'll show you here, we just kill the agent server abruptly, and the broker detects this and transfers it through. So And there's a lot of additional features in MQTT 5 that I've seen and they finished the spec in 2019, April, I think. But the industry is still a bit slow to take on. But it's a very I'm yet to see proper installations of this and work around it. But from what I can see, this is a good implementation of this sort of semi-connected environment. I like it. Okay, so let's. I've got 3 minutes, but I think we'll go over it. If you allow me, I'll double click this and hog the time. Going back to the desktop, I'm going to transition back there. Okay, so just a little scenario. I'll kill agent server gracefully, and we shouldn't see any nonsense here, and we don't. Okay, that's fine. Think of the MQTT Explorer here as block A, that little toy block, and I can then, sorry, I'm just checking. I'm just going back to my comments. If I've missed your comments, just keep sending, or Freddie, just remind me. Okay. So think of this as little block A. So currently I want to tell this guy publish to flow raw value 125, and I'm going to publish quality of service 1, and I'm going to tell the broker I want you to be retained. So I hit publish, and this is what is reflected back to me. Now Adroit was off, so I want to sort of show off the data scope. I live in this realm. To me, you're not going to see fancy graphics except my nice rotating intro. I'll transition there. I was playing with a 3D Paint. It's actually quite a nice program. So that's the best graphics you're going to see from me today. Just going back to my desktop. So I'm going to start up the agent server. And keep an eye on our data scope. You can keep an eye on our device. And I'm just using Adroit for its configurator here. You'll see things are happening. We'll go through that for those that are interested. And we can see we've started. And with my luck, I've scanned flow, so we are bad. I'm going to close flow for now, remove that, and now we are healthy. Okay, so basically this is telling me I've got everything from the broker, and if we go in there, I've got 3 values. I scanned them to the same value. You'll see I'm in an Adroit development environment. I've been doing some testing here, so we should see 125 on any one of these strings. So we got that value. All right, so basically I'm again in the little block, and I'm going to make the block publish 126. You can actually see in the data scope a message came in, and the 3 connected items got 126, and we'll have 126. Okay. What's nice now is I can write down 167 back from the SCADA in the other direction, and you'll see it go out, and you'll see it reflects back to the other items, 167. So very nice mechanism. So I have a question. Let me go back to my YouTube comments. Is there a specific data format for the payload and Adroit needs to receive to understand the data? I'm noticing on the Explorer they've allowed JSON. Okay, we do have our IoT agent, so perhaps let's but right now consider discrete items. So we're looking at raw values, clear text, or byte arrays, so the actual binary value. So MQTT, to me, I know they define it as a transport. I suppose the data can be more advanced and can be user-defined between the two clients, and the broker is agnostic to what the data is. In this case, I think the broker is agnostic to that data anyway. It just passes it on, whether it's a byte array or a string array. So yeah, going forward, I'm keen to see how that's implemented, and I'm sure, the way our new Adroit scanning architecture is working, we don't have to specifically detect for new types. We pass it through as required, and then on the application layer, perhaps in a script or in an IoT agent, you're dealing with it. So yeah, I think more to come on that. I'd probably edit this or add a more advanced webinar on that. So I hope that answers that, Marius. Okay, so I showed you the flow back and forth. So now I'm going to kill the agent server abruptly, and the broker knew about that break, and it informed block A, which wanted to know about that. Hey, Adroit didn't gracefully disconnect. So there I'm seeing. I'm not so sure if a little flow box somewhere in the middle of nowhere wants to know about that. He's probably more interested in his quality of service to the broker. But more advanced clients talking to each other, this can be driven. So yeah. I'm thinking handshakes, script-based handshakes. If we need to add a internal handshake, well, that'll come out in the wash. Okay, so let's go. I've killed the agent server. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to the setup of the driver from an Adroit perspective. I'm not sure how many of you are. Marius, the tag name and value inside the topic will be scanned to the Adroit tag. That's correct. So let me just restart the agent server here. Close. I'll show you here. It was open. So basically, if you look here, s2.value or s3.value, the address, I've put a format. This is not entirely a MQTT. This is more Adroit a la me. S meaning string. You can put int, word, whatever else. It doesn't really matter. These are being transferred as variants anyway. So, yeah. To me, this is sort of future, but it's there just so that we've got the flexibility. Then after the colon is the actual tag name. So David J underscore MQTT underscore demo /flow is the tag name. And the next colon 1 is telling me on a tag level quality of service when I publish to this tag. So if I write the value 678 there, I'm going to write that at quality of 1 going out. Does that answer your question? I'll check back now. Okay. So what happened to my... Yeah, there we go. Okay. Where was I going? Where was I? I can't remember now. Okay. I've shown you the last will and testament. We've spoken about the quality of service. Okay, if it'll come back to me. Okay, a little bit. Oh yes, I remember now. Okay. While it's on, we can go here as well. Just a little bit more info on the NASA side of things. And okay, MQTT domain. Your client name has to be unique. That's part of the session variable that lives on the broker. The broker needs to know. So there's part of the protection, and we've got a little unique generator there. I wouldn't base your life on the security of this, but yeah, that just generates something that chances are nobody else has got. Then you also have your tag naming conventions and that. So yeah, we're good to go there. You set your address. For now, clean session is always going to be false. That means when you connect, just erase all other session data. In our case, as SCADA, we don't want to do that. And we want to auto reconnect. That's just obvious. And we will retain. This is the global retain, but now it's also on the tag level. And if our global at least once. Your keep alive, your transaction timeout, this is normal. I've allowed for a topic prefix, almost like in SNMP, where you've that industry name that you get allocated. And it's a lot of unnecessary numbers to write. So I'm thinking maybe we'll have a topic prefix for a device, because here we are setting up a device itself. Okay. I'm setting up the device called MQ1. It is talking to a general broker, testmosquito.org. So this testmosquito.org will be the custodian of everything to do with MQ1 and his siblings. Security, full security. We've got certificates available right now. My tests, I've gotten a certificate from Mosquito themselves. You install it in the Windows system. We know how to grab it and use it. You can use username and password. So security is looking good. You can see the last will and topic, last will topic, and some specific message. On the handshake here, you would want to overwrite this. This only occurs on an ungraceful disconnect. You might want to say, I'm back online if it's a smart client on the other side. And normally you don't retain a will. You don't retain the will, so that's fine. You've got proxies available. That has been tested with the guys in Germany. He's happy. And I've got a new test tab. I would have loved to have shown you we can actually launch this whole system in this dialog without even starting Adroit. For some reason, I've got a bug, so that's why I'm in a debug environment. So I disabled it for this test, but pings are available for all new NASAs going forward. The nice thing about NASA is a lot of the stuff we're doing around ports, for example, pings or COM ports, anything you benefit, let's say you want to have a soft purge instead of a hard purge. If that code is added to one driver, all NASA drivers get the benefit from it. So in future, all NASA drivers will have test ping and ping test plus comms test in here like we have in the old drivers. Working quite well. My bug is now and then when I shut down the stupid thing, I crash the executable. So yeah, I just didn't want to show you, but I told you about it. So if you want to do a broker ping, basically that's our broker at the top. All you do is just ping the guy and you get your feedback immediately. Proxy we haven't set up. Okay, and if you want to make sure it's working, you can, it's really pinging, so that's kind of cool. Something I'm being asked, this number is a bit heavy for the debug levels. Basically, okay, I'll check Derwin's question now. What happened to my screen? Okay. Oh, okay, Derwin. Yeah. Thanks. I remembered. Our debug level bit mask is quite advanced now. In the past, what you had on the datascope, you had on the datascope. But you're noticing there's a lot of information here. So, for example, and let me just fire up I'll talk about going forward. This is just copied from my source code, but you can actually filter out a lot of things. For example, you're not interested in anything else but maybe this guy. So it's a bit mask. So if I just want that guy, I change this to 256, which is 100 hex. I click OK, and I close. I go to Adroit. Cancel. Don't save. Go here. Scan. Stop. Start. Now look at the datascope now. It's all dynamic, which is something I'm really kind of enjoying. We can, that was the connect. Some information is not filtered out. It's important to me. So going forward, our datascopes are going to get more advanced, more. So what we've done here, 256 is read description only. So basically, if I go and say I want to publish 127, actually that was a bad one to choose. No, hold on. That was a bad one to choose. Let me try, because this is a subscription-based protocol, so we don't actually read. We get events. Let me do both, just in case. So we want 768. Read and write, close. Go here, stop, start. Okay, we've subscribed. And let's change this value, 28. Publish. Let's trust me to do this now. I'm going to add 2 more. Sorry. Just bear with me. I just want to test here. If I write from here, I should see something. Update. Yes. Okay. There's the right. Okay. So if you didn't want to see rights, you could filter out the right, which is 512, which is 200 hex. So yeah, this because of the subscription, a subscription happens and then events are pushed through from the broker. We don't actually poll. So yeah, you can actually filter down your data scope to perhaps just look for rights or whatever if you're debugging things. So I'm going to just switch everything back on, which is all 16 bits. Okay, close. Notice I'm stopping and starting. And yeah, okay. So, and this was, what have I done? I've poll scanned something wrong here. Oh no, okay, yeah. So you can see our data scope. Basically, this is an entry debugging message, which can be removed. I think it's the timing. I might be sort of. So I want to subtract 32. So basically, we go to setup, configure, subtract 32 from there. So it's 05, what is this, 3, close, stop, start, and let's minimize, and you'll see we don't get that annoying message anymore. So yeah, that's how that works. You'll also notice our diagnostic counters has improved. A lot more information, a lot of things not really sort of interested for the normal user, but the advanced users. For example, that's a write pending skip. So Any updates that came from the broker due to a write was skipped because there was a write pending on the system. And there's various others. Not stale skip. NASA implements this concept of I/O being stale. So if we go here right now, I think I've got configured to my stale threshold is 0. So in other words, only changes will go through. That's why if I do this, for example, and I change the flow to say that, you will see that. And then if I do it again, you'll see, wait a minute, I've got a flow. The previous value was 678. The new value is that with whatever time. I send it through a second time and I said, sorry, no change detected. So, yeah, that can be overridden. Your stale algorithm can be set to you set it for 2, it will say every second update. So it's almost like what I call an integrity, which is something you kind of want on a telemetry system where you've got a subscription. Are you sure that you've got your data? So, but yeah, that's just more advanced things. All right, that's it. Transaction latency. This is more also generic. You've got your device latency, translation, and inter-message latency. So this would just be but it's off now anyway. So it's just to enforce a time between two unique transactions. Okay, so yeah, that's that. Let's just look. Any chance we can zoom into your screen? It's rather tricky to read. I'm sorry. Wow. Okay. I was hoping that wasn't the case. What are we looking at? Something specific? I don't think I can zoom. Anyway. Yeah. All right. So that is basically my discussion. Yeah, I'm asked, Paul. I'm not really sure. Perhaps if we get get a copy of the stream, perhaps you can zoom in with something else. MQTT client driver, because it's so new, it's not available. It'll be available in 10.05, but if you talk to me nicely, milkshakes, I'll give it to you. Yeah. Anything else? I was going to transition to this page, but on Paul's comments, yeah, maybe that's not a good idea. I'm going to go back to my desktop. Maybe if I my display capture. This is wonderful doing this live, but let's see. Display capture. This guy. Oh yeah, that looks cool. Problem is, yeah, we'll have to browse around, so it's not really effective. So yeah, kind of a manual thing. Okay, so any more comments? Okay, Rudy, that's a very good question. I'll show you. I've been thinking about a browser, and it's actually quite easy. All I can, for example, let me disconnect here. I'm going to go to my advanced, and I'm going to add browse, which is Wildcard. When I did this, I left it on. You can ask Dale. I left it on overnight, and the day before that, when he checked the system, my little test scenario ate 3 gigabytes on our company network, so it was interesting. Wildcards on MQTT can be kind of large, but yes, I'm seeing the ability to browse. We can do something like this. You'll also notice there are system variables as well. For example, you could get the number of brokers or number of clients connected to this broker by doing dollar something. I think it's just dollar. Let me just, I'm under correction here. Dollar star. Now, let me just add that. Back, connect. Do we get any dollars? Anyway, you can get system detail and yeah. So it's coming. Go to the left on my screen. I shall do that. Sorry guys. Yeah, I'm getting used to the getting used to the streaming and all the screens that are involved. So let me just do that again. Ready for you? Connect. Disconnect. You go to advanced. Well, this is just on the Explorer. I added a wildcard, and when I connect now, you will see you're getting everybody. That is on clear text, I assume. And yeah, so I'm seeing a very easy way of doing a browser function. We'll probably have levels. Yeah, we'll see how that goes forward. Let me go back to my comments this side. Marius, you're welcome. I appreciate it. It's running in Germany on the Mitsubishi headquarters there. They're quite happy. They're using the proxy mechanism and certificates. Yes, port 883 is supported. Let me just pull up some of that info. This is in my driver doc. You've got encrypted with certificate 884, also WebSockets, so really flexible. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else that might jump out at me. Yeah. Okay, Derwin, thanks for being here. And on that note, I'm going to just transition to, guys, keep an eye on our knowledge base. I'm liking this the streaming. If I ever have anything to do with it, you'll see more coming from drivers. I think a picture paints, and a moving picture paints a million words. And then, yeah, I think that's it. But you please like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll be here if you want some more comments. And then also just email. You're welcome if I've piqued your interest. You're welcome to talk to me. We can talk. Yeah, the driver is ready even on 10.041, but it's not an official release. So I'll give it to you specifically. But 10.05, yeah, going forward, no problem. Really, I'll send you the doc. Yeah. You will get. Why won't the server disconnect? Yeah, I'll make a plan for you, but it will be online soon.